First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rokakodash. Yahweh to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem means in the name, Rokah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. In today's video, I wanted to go into how there is no such place as hell. Okay, it is a false doctrine made by the Roman Catholic Church. So let's get straight into it.
There is no hell. There isn't. Like thousands and thousands of cases, there is no hell. Hell is an invention of the church, and you can see why. It was never in the Bible. Something has been invented. There is no hell. A loving God would not do that to people. You are allowed to make all the mistakes you want. You're allowed to come back and do it again and again till you get it right. They don't punish you just because you make a mistake and throw you into an oven. It doesn't work that way. There is no hell. There isn't.
Right, and the video just keeps on looping, but we're going to go ahead and read, those points right here. It says, when hell became church doctrine, the concept of eternal fiery hell was not from Hebrew thought. It was adopted from Greek and Roman paganism, especially Plato's philosophy about the immortal soul and punishment after death. Right, so it was an Edomite theology. Right, it came from these Edomites. It says later the Roman Catholic Church officially institutionalized the doctrine of eternal hell to control people through fear. Around the 4th century, after Constantine made Christianity the state religion of Rome, pagan ideas were mixed with scripture. The Latin Vulgate translation by Jerome around 400 AD translated Sheol, Hades, and Gehenna all as infernum or inferno, meaning lower regions.
There is out to right.
Over time, that became tied to the image of a fiery underworld, like in Dante's Inferno, which cemented the false picture in people's mind. The Bible teaches, the soul that sinneth, it shall die, not burn forever. The wages of sin is death, not eternal torment. The second death means total destruction, not endless burning. Which when you go into the second death, it's actually talking about the thermonuclear destruction. And I think that was it on that. So yeah, everything that was on there is on point. And I'm going to show you through the scriptures how when you go into the Greek, and the Hebrew, is deeper than just the word hell. So when you go into Isaiah 14 and you go into what this is talking about, this is essentially talking about America. The Edomites ruling America, right? Babylon being America. And, who rules America? The staff of the wicked. These Edomites. Now, when you jump down to verse 12, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weakest the nations? And many people read that and think that Lucifer is the son of the devil, right? And all this mythology, which when you go into what that word Lucifer means, it goes into light bearer, shining one, morning star. That's all it means, is somebody that has the light. And that's ultimately talking about the elites, right? They are the Luciferians, right? They are the ones that have the light, the way of this world, the ones in power. That's why, you always hear about, the Illuminati. What does Illuminati mean? Illuminated ones, right? The light bearers. And that term Lucifer is not a negative word. Like, for example, Yahushai is a Luciferian, right? Because he also has the light, right? It just goes into the way. Not necessarily, a negative connotation. Yahushua is a light bearer. So, when it's talking about how art thou fallen from heaven, which did weakest the nations, this is talking about how these Edomites, from their high position right now of ruling the world, they're going to come down. The Lord is going to bring them down. It says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. All right, they have that God complex. That's why you see how, they're pushing that digital system, because they want to have complete control over the people. right? They want to be like the Most High. He says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." Right? And right here, people will read that, see, and say, "Oh, see, they're going to be brought down to hell to burn forever, to the pit." But they don't understand that when you go into, the root word of what's there in the Hebrew, it has nothing to do with the place where you burn forever. And I'm going to simply put it like this: hell has two definitions. It has a low condition, right? It means that you're going through, you're at a low condition, you're at the bottom, or it means the grave. And when you go into the Hebrew word here, hell, it says Sheol. It says Sheol, underworld, grave, okay? Pit of extreme degradation and sin. And that's all it means, right? The grave. And when you go into, other scriptures that have that word in the Hebrew, what does it say? "I will go down into the grave. My gray hairs will fall to the grave, the grave, the grave." Right? It's talking about, okay, like I said, the grave or a low condition. And when you go into the context of this one, it's talking about a low condition. Right? It says, "They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners?" Right? So this is talking about when these Edomites are brought down and the kingdom of heaven is established, all these nations are going to look at these Edomites like, "Damn, these really the people that had us, had this whole world upside down?" And it shows you that, the man, right? It's not talking about the son of the devil. How Lucifer fought against the Most High, and just all that story. None of the angels, neither Satan, can fight or rebel against the Most High, right? They are all in order, doing exactly what they have to do. You can read about that in Job, the first chapter, when Satan says that, "Hey, give me the authority to go after Job and I'll do it. I can't do nothing because you got a hedge of protection around him." Right? So Satan needed authority from the Lord to even do anything, showing you the Lord is in control of everything, the Lord Yahweh. So this is talking about a low condition. Now, let's go into Luke 16. And this is a parable that a lot of so-called Christians like to use to go into hell. And when you go into, the parable of Lazarus, on my channel, I broke this down a while back. Right here. Lazarus and the rich man parable breakdown. So you can go watch that video if anyone is interested in. That essentially will break down the whole parable. I went into it. But I'm going to just read it real quick and get the point I want. So hell is essentially a place where if you're wicked, the wicked go there and burn forever. Luke 16:19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Right? And this is the point, is if if Lazarus was in hell, how come Abraham was there? Right? Abraham was a righteous man of the Lord, so he shouldn't be in hell according to you Christians, you Catholics. But why does it say that? And the answer is because it's not talking about a place where the wicked burn forever. Okay, that's nonsense. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I think
First,
I think this was a bot. Right, so I remember somebody commented on this. It says, "You're right, this had nothing to do with hell and eternal damnation, which Yahweh never taught. You missed the boat, however, because there are many clues." And he tries to tell me what it means, but I'm pretty sure like when the accounts are like this, James with the dash or something like that, these are normally bots, I found. It was shown that on Twitter, like 80% of the accounts are AI bots. And the technology is out there where they can just run through your video, go through the transcript, and ultimately give you AI response. But yeah, I was broken down right here. I broke this fully down. Just wanted to bring that up. I remembered somebody commented on that. So now let's keep going. Now, 2 Peter 2:4. It says, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and deliver them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Right? Many people will read that and say, see, I told you, the angels that sinned, they rebelled against the Most High and were cast to hell. You don't understand. Okay, you don't understand. When it's talking about the angels, okay, it's ultimately talking about the Israelites, the chosen, the sons of God. And I asked ChatGPT to break it down because ChatGPT essentially has a lot of the breakdowns. So I told them, how does GMS break this down? And it gave me a perfect answer. It says, angels that sin equals the sons of God, Israelites. Right? So before there's Israelites, there's a lineage called the sons of God, right? Which are the chosen lineage. You have the sons of God, you have the sons of men, which are the other nations, and you have the sons of the wicked, which would eventually come by the way of the Edomites. But back then they were called the sons of the wicked, which was the lineage through Cain. Right? Cain slew Abel. So it says GMS teaches that these angels aren't literal heavenly beings that rebelled in heaven, as Christian theology says. They interpret angels, Greek angelos, meaning messengers, as men, specifically Israelites, who sinned by leaving their spiritual estate and following the ways of the flesh. Genesis 6:2, the sons of God saw the daughters of men. GMS says that refers to Israelite men, not actual angels taking on corrupt worldly ways. Right? Cast them down to hell, living condition, not a fiery underworld. Right? Going into how, we were brought down low. It says GMS teaches there's no place of eternal fire under the earth. Hell here means a low condition or captivity, being under oppression or suffering for sin on earth. In this case, it symbolizes the punishment and downfall of the nation of Israel when they went off from the Most High. Chains of darkness, corruptible bodies and ignorance. Chains of darkness are these human bodies and spiritual blindness that keep us from perfection. GMS teaches we are bound in these fleshly sinful bodies, Romans 8:20. Darkness, confusion, sin, lack of the true knowledge, and reserved unto judgment, the awaiting the final judgment. And it says, when Yahushua returns to judge Esau and deliver the elect from this current condition. So simplification, angels that sinned was the Israelites who went off, the sons of God, cast down to hell, brought into captivity and suffering, chains of darkness, these fleshly bodies, and reserved to judgment. Now another scripture that goes into this, Jude 1:6, it says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. And the same thing, it's not talking about literal angels, or it's talking about the sons of God. And this is a scripture that really breaks it down. It says, Psalms 82:6. It says, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Right, so this is a Psalms. This is David, to the Israelites. Okay, we are gods. Our spirit is a godly spirit. But guess what? Since we went off, we're going to die like men. We're stuck in these fleshly bodies. But guess what? When Yahushua comes back, he's coming to change that. Right? He's coming to give us bodies that never sin. Right? He's going to give us those incorruptible bodies. Those bodies that have the law, statutes, and commandments programmed in them. And we're going to come back to, as it says, our first estate. So, I just wanted to go into that because, this is another scripture they like to use. And, angels don't have sex. They just don't. Let's read this last scripture in Tobit 13:1. Then Tobit wrote a prayer of rejoicing and said, Blessed be God that liveth forever, and blessed be his kingdom. For he doth scourge and hath mercy. He leadeth down to hell and bringeth up again. Neither is there any that can avoid his hand. Now question, I thought if you went to hell, you stay and burn there forever. So how is it that you go down to hell and you come back up? Showing you it's talking about something else. It's talking about being put in a low condition and the Lord bringing you back up. Okay, it's that simple. So, quick video going over that. And hopefully this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rokakwadash, and double honor to the other bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, Shalom.